Okay, did you have a rapid-fire pulse rifle down for an early contender for best weapon of the season on your bingo card? Cause I sure as hell didn't. One of the best parts of a new season in Destiny is the Wild West nature of the PvP meta. New toys drop in and people want to play with those for a while before they go back to their old favourites. A new rapid-fire pulse rifle is one of these toys, and whilst 540 RPMs are traditionally off meta, the Gridskipper has managed to make a very lasting impression on me in its first week. Hailing from the new Override seasonal activity and rolling with new perks such as Tunnel Vision, Heating Up, and Adrenaline Junkie, the Gridskipper promises to be a very interesting gun to chase as we learn how to play with these perks more and more. But perks aren't what makes this gun rather special. There's a very fundamental reason this gun will become a firm favourite by both PvP and PvE players alike, and that reason will make this gun an instant classic for the burst lovers among us. Right, let's tackle the hard stuff first. The Gridskipper is a rapid-fire 540 RPM pulse rifle doing 24 to the head and 14 to the body, requiring 7 crits and 2 body shots to kill. This gives it a very competitive time to kill value of 0.80 seconds, faster than 140 RPM hand cannons which kill in 0.87 seconds. It operates in the same ranges as your 140s, competing solidly with all auto-rifle archetypes, 390 and 450 pulse rifles, and, if your name is Drewski, 180 RPM hand cannons. Basically, it's about as smack dab in the middle as you can get within the very diverse primary ammo meta. Gridskipper is a solid, mid-range dueler type weapon that requires an aggressive, high mobility playstyle where the user is not afraid of taking on fights. This weapon rolls with a couple of the new perks that come with this season: Tunnel Vision, Heating Up, and Adrenaline Junkie. Adrenaline Junkie grants bonus damage and handling on a final blow with a grenade. So for me, this one's a little too situational. Unless you're using something like an Ash and Wait build, there's no reason to be going for this perk over others in PvP. Tunnel Vision improves target acquisition or aim assist, as well as ADS speed after a kill, whilst Heating Up increases accuracy, stability, and recoil control. Over the two, I'd pick Heating Up just because 540s could use the extra stability. Both pair nicely with multi-kill clip for extra synergy, though Snapshot and Thresh have a shout as well now that Thresh actually works in PvP. Heating Up in particular solves a big problem rapid-fire pulses have had as an archetype: their recoil. At a neutral state on last generation consoles, the recoil is greatly exacerbated by the lower FOV and frame rate, FOV standing for field of view. But on PC and next-gen consoles with higher field of view settings, it's a lot more controllable. The 55 recoil direction helps to keep things under control as it's perfectly vertical, but there is a noticeable bounciness that has a little bit of a learning curve to it once you've got the basics down. Any barrel perk that adds plus 10 recoil direction will help greatly, and my go-to barrel pick for this gun would be Arrowhead Break, as it gives plus 30 to recoil direction, or RD for short because I can't keep saying recoil direction continuously without losing my mind. Remember, RD functions like a sinusoidal graph, with RD values ending in 5 being perfectly vertical. 85 RD, achieved through Arrowhead Break, will result in a perfectly vertical pattern, and with a lot less bounce in between shots. The closer you get to 100 RD, the less bounciness there is, a less recoil kick as there were. I do not recommend counterbalance mods for this gun, as it will add a plus 15 to your RD, thus changing the pattern to be non-vertical. I know those were a lot of words I just said. I get it. I know, I've heard what I sound like. So, let me break it down for the generation that likes to go, sheesh! This gun shoots fast, and has a lot of recoil, but it's really manageable. Just don't use a counterbalance mod, okay? Now, in terms of the meta, this gun fills a very unique spot that's perhaps not underrepresented, but certainly underappreciated: the lower mid-range. 140 RPM hand cannons are the de facto mid-range standard that are favoured by people who want a more organic challenge, whilst SMGs and slug shotguns occupy the ranges that aren't immediately point blank. Gridskipper has a place amongst these stars, but it needs to be used right, and therein lies a massive catch. The catch with Gridskipper is the same one that comes with rapid-fire pulses. You must be constantly on target to get a kill. In that respect, the Gridskipper demands a similar playstyle to 600 RPM water rifles and SMGs. They're aggressive, in-your-face kind of weapons that allow you to take the fight to the other person, as long as that person isn't in cover or out of range. This constant on-time thing is something that worries a lot of people because it means being out of cover. But in practice, there's not many situations outside of survival or trials where you'll be demanded to play in a campy, peak shot kind of way. In service streamer lingo, this gun is insane, bro. I can kill apes in challenge 120s. This thing is so fun to use, bro. It shreds. It absolutely shreds. It's cracked! But you need to play in a certain way to get the best out of this weapon. And that certain way is aggressive. Up close and personal. Not mucking about waiting for rent prices to go down. Because guess what? We're all going to die this century. Basically, as long as you move fast, take the first shot, and hit the head consistently, you'll be more than fine with this weapon. Which leads us to the elephant in the room. It starts with S and ends in Bungie, please! Aggressive playstyles and the weapons that enable them will always be a risky thing to adopt, because stasis exists. You push, you might get slowed or frozen. That's just kinda how it is right now. And that's really all I can say without spoiling my in-depth video about it next week. And I promise, it's not scrub mentality. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with the bell turned on, because I don't think you want to miss that one. The meta is the meta because of stasis. There's no two ways about it. 120 hand cannons and 340 RPM pulses offer lethality at distance, meaning you're usually safe and out of reach from most stasis ability spam. So to introduce a weapon that forces you to play hypermobile and aggressive when players have the ability to freeze and slow you at any point in the match sounds like a dumb idea on paper and even dumber in practice, right? Well, that's the thing. When you play aggressive, you always run the risk of being caught out by stasis, or any light-based ability. Shotgunners are still very much a thing. SMGs are becoming more in vogue thanks to the Multimark CCX and the new Shayura's Wrath from Trials of Osiris. Whilst 140 RPMs continue to be the weapon of choice for most people who choose to represent themselves using the medium of anime in their profile pictures. Despite stasis, aggressive play never really went anywhere. It just became harder to execute without being called out by it. And for those players, they use weapons that work and feel good to them above all else. And the Gridskipper should be a serious contender for their permanent loadout slot because of that. This gun is just fantastic to use. The sights, the zoom, the sound, the perfectly vertical recoil, and the requirement that you need to fly around to do well with it. It reminds me of the game Destiny 2 used to be a year ago, where you needed to have decent gun skill and a healthy understanding of good movement to be successful. The feel of this gun is so very Destiny. I don't know if there's anything I've used that can describe the satisfaction I get when getting kills with this weapon. I just know that the feedback loop starts with the first bullet shot. Yes, there's always the threat of stasis. And yes, there are guns that can kill from greater distances. And yes, rapid-fire pulse rifles won't really work against a disciplined team using cover. But I refuse to let any of those concerns deter me. Gridskipper is the kind of gun that invites you to shoot it over and over and over again, finding new ways to push, new angles to take, and new situations to make a meal out of. It asks you to match your movement, positioning, and game sense to pair with its silky smooth mechanics. The feel of this weapon is so terribly well balanced, and is yet another reminder that Bungie is the best in the business when it comes to fun gameplay, bar none. And with the role combinations, there's something in there for everyone. Column 1 has Tunnel Vision, Killing Wind, Moving Target, Heating Up, Firmly Planted, Slideways. Column 2 has Frenzy, Adrenaline Junkie, Thresh, High Impact Reserves, Multi-Kill Clip, and Snapshot. All your magazine perks are there, and most importantly, this pulse rifle has barrels, not sights, that you can change. The experience you get whether you're hunting a PvP or a PvE role won't change, because none of the barrel selections give this weapon a non-vertical recoil direction. I've not had enough time to farm for multiple roles yet, but I know that this is a firm favourite that I want to invest in. Well, at least until the Vault of Glass rolls around, then I'll be back on my hand cannon bullshit with Fatebringer, as we all will be. But make no mistake, the Gridskipper is a gun you should chase no matter what kind of player you are, because it's a gun that just feels right. Pair it with a shotgun for extra close range insurance, or a sniper rifle if you want to cover off more distance. It doesn't matter. In the right hands, this gun will hit you for 6, go to the pavilion, have a cup of tea, and then walk back out to the crease before the ball hits the ground again. It's a future classic for all the right reasons. I'm giving this a solid 9.5 Jaffa Cakes out of 10. Go farm this weapon, it's a real slice above the rest. I hope you enjoyed this new style of content and our first proper weapon review. I do want to blend the philosophical with the practical, but I'm not sure if I got the balance right. Please leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought. And as ever, if you like this video, you know what to do. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.